Peace, family. What's good? You see the title of the video. Why should you wait until marriage? And it's like there's so much memories and regret. Like, my body count could have been so much higher if God and Jesus didn't find me at the time that they did. If I wasn't learning the lessons that I did, and if I wasn't raised in the church to begin with. There are some women that I've been with in which there was no relationship. It was a one-night stand. There's other relationships that probably had gone on for too long, and that's what I'm going to explain now. See, my hypocrisy, my failure, my regret, my issue is that I wanted to find a loophole to have sex before marriage. And I wanted to do this so in case I didn't actually like the girl that I was having sex with, I could get out of the relationship without any sort of legal issues or problems and then move on to have sex with somebody else. I'm 29 now. I've known my partner since I was about 16 or 17. And I didn't know she would be the one that I ended up with. I didn't know she would be the one I would eventually be having a child with. For many reasons. For many reasons. But the primary reason being is that marriage was there. I remember telling my mom in the car in like high school, I don't plan to get married. The relationships that I had with women up until that point, it never made me feel like I would want to be with these type of women for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. I'm not going to go on a rant about modern women and what they're like and what they're not like or anything else like that. That's not really the intention of this at all. But I would simply say that a lot of the negative issues that you have with people can be overcome if you spent more time valuing them for who they are and the things that they may not be able to easily change, rather than what you want from them and things that they're not necessarily good at, they're not necessarily interested in, and they're not necessarily benefiting from to appease you, or to appease me, or to appease them at times. I went through something in my life in which I had everything. I really had everything a man could ever really want in life. And I wouldn't say that it wasn't enough, but I felt like there was more to life than that. So I decided to become an author. I could have got the degree. I could have got a nice job. I could have been rich. I could have did a lot of things. I could have been a famous professional wrestler. I could have been an Olympic wrestler. I could have been. There's a lot of things that I could have done. But the things that I wanted to achieve and the things that I wanted to do, you have short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals, and those are the type of women that you meet. When you have achieved the short-term goals, you find a lot of short-term girls. Women who see the quick success, they see that they take their part in it, and they go. I had a lot of women like that in my life because we were in college. And, big fish, small pond, shark, small pond, whatever you want to call it. Had great success. But what it also came with was, and it's something that men talk about often, is that for him to get on the boat, he had to achieve something. For them to get on the boat, they needed to know you. And I spent most of my resources, most of my money, most of my time, most of my energy, most of my what I should have honestly been spending focusing. I spent focusing on pussy, and it fucked up my entire college. I lost my scholarships over pussy. I lost the opportunity to go home and transfer to a different school and start the whole shit over pussy and over hypocrisy. Being in, like what I was gonna say earlier, is like being in these type of relationships where you want to have sex. So instead of getting married, instead of like really spending time to find someone that you love and that you really enjoy and that really loves you and that really like vibes with you, you end up finding the person who allows you to have sex with them. And the sad thing is that kind of the paradox, the woman that will allow you to have sex with them without marriage are usually the most difficult women in the world to deal with. And while the women who will make you wait until marriage seem very difficult, they only seem difficult because they're not giving you sex. I remember meeting this young woman. She's a young Christian woman. Just sweet as apple pie. Just nicest thing ever. And just the type of person, if I was going out drinking or something, will call me up and make sure, say, hey, just make sure you drink water, get some sleep, call me in the morning, let me go get my home safe. She ain't going to drink. She ain't doing nothing with me, you know? She vibed. She liked my vibe. She liked where I was going. Like, likewise, especially since she was like a fine arts major, so like she definitely needed a dude to take care of her. So it's like she had really kind of built, and I don't know if it was intentional, I don't know if it was conscious, subconscious, I don't know if her parents did it, but it's like she was this type of woman that was well aware that she's probably going to need someone to take care of her, and she's made herself very easy to take care of, you know? Versus you spent your entire time to be self-sufficient, independent, to be able to take care of your own shit, to be able to not take shit from anybody, to be able to speak your mind and have your peace. And it's nothing that I would honestly call masculine. I would just say it's more audacious, it's more bold, it's a little bit more of being a tyrant or a jackass. Because, you know, most men don't do that. Most women don't really do that. It's kind of like a certain personality type. They call themselves type A, but type A stands for asshole. And I wouldn't say she would do it because things didn't really go on that long. Because since she was like a long-term girl. So eventually, once you, even midterm to long-term, you know, I'm pretty sure like if I proposed, I would have been in those guts like all the fucking time, you know. But I did not get the guts. And it's like I remember it more. I remember a lot of those moments a lot more because, you know, I had these really rich relationship with women that, not that they necessarily like wouldn't have sex with me, we just didn't. It never came up. And I was like, most of the times that, I mean, even losing my virginity, you know, it's like I was not married. I wouldn't, and even like, and at that time, like it was a kind of like a downward spiral from that point, honestly, because it's like once you realize how good sex feels, it became like the only thing like you kind of like want to do at that point in time is things that kind of stimulate that pleasure, things that kind of stimulate, and it's like it wasn't really my decision. Like it was, I said yes, you know, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I was very well known in both those spaces. I mean, I'm pretty like D-list famous like right now, to be honest. D stands for dickhead. But you know, it is what it is. It's just like I don't regret it to some, but I do, like I really do regret it a lot. Because it's like when I met that young woman versus when I lost my virginity, I guess I'll focus on those two things. By the time I met this girl, I was so fucked up. You know, it's like I had so many like unrealistic expectations. Even just from like a physiological, biological standpoint of what a human body can like endure, you know. Talking about having a lot of sex, yeah. So that's the topic that I was talking. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic with one woman. It's unrealistic because it hurts for her after a while. I don't care how good at you are at it. Um, their stimuli is very different than us. How they reach their peak is very. That's why you'll have some women like have these kind of like arguments with you where it's like she's not really being the utmost serious, but she's trying to get you riled up because that's how she gets. That's her stimuli. Talk to her about that. Fix that shit because that shit's crazy, and it's like it creates for a lot of toxic relationships. Because this is what I'm about to drop on you. That losing my virginity was like the most toxic experience ever, because it's like she was in a really fucked up situation at home. She was like kind of living with me for a while, and again, this was high school, and you know, God bless her, she's an amazing woman, you know, great mother, has like a great wife, I believe she's married. I have no idea, honestly. Sweet as apple pie, you know, strictly crazy, but it's like a lot of times when we call women crazy, the reality is that they are traumatized, you know. Maybe it happened because of you, maybe it happened before you, maybe it happened way before you, and you just kind of ripped the scab off, you know, or you took a prosthetic person's like crutch away or something like that. It's fucked up, happens both sides. A lot of women have fucked me up as well. And with that, when I met this other girl, it's like, damn, you know, it's like I couldn't at that point. I couldn't marry you. You know, it's like maybe I could have if I was in like a much different like, but it's like simply that you wouldn't satisfy me. Like you would not satisfy me, and my desires would be so foreign to you that it would probably shake the boat of what. And it's like maybe that's something she was waiting to do. I don't know. I'm not using any names. For all you know, I could be making all this shit up, you know? It's like I remember like just meeting girls and that day like, you have sex and then what? It's like, it's so backwards, you know? Because it prevents both of you from having a true relationship. And I had an ex that said this, and again, I think we were only dating because we were having sex. And it's like when we weren't having sex and it came to arguments and stuff, it was like, I wanted nothing to fucking do with it. I don't want to fucking argue with you. I'm not trying to fucking fight with you. I do some research, I come back with the research, he still wants to fucking deny it. I'm like, I can't fucking. A year and a half of this shit, about 2 years, you know? Because it's like the sex creates a bond, you know? And I guess that's why some people leave it at that. They just do the fuck buddy thing and then they like leave all emotional attachment out of it. Because the emotions can either create a very rich emotional bond or it can create a very deep trauma bond. And then you're trauma bonded, and then you're constantly you're trauma bonded because of what the fuck you two did to each other, because of what a parent did to you, because of what an ex did to you, or usually a mixture of all three things. So it's like you're blaming this person for shit that's going on with you. And they're your emotions, they're your feelings. It's what the fuck you're going through. No one else is going through what the fuck you're going through. No one else knows what you think. No one, unless you're able to properly express and properly communicate and properly get across what it is that is bothering you, you are not going to fix your relationship. These people think that they can buy their way out of a relationship. You can't. Look at all these people that are divorcing and they have all the money in the fucking world. Look at all these women that have all the money in the world. They can't find a man. You can't take away how important the people skills are. the soft skills are, the communication skills are, the listening skills, the active listening skills. The relationship itself, this is what it's taught me, because I haven't been married before. I've only had relationships. I've had many different relationships with many different women, some of them sexual, many of them not sexual. And, I value a lot of the non-sexual relationships a lot more because it feels like they're not trying to prey on you. I know women feel as if they're preyed on them. It's like, but I feel like also when you're a guy and you're a dude that has potential, you're a good-looking guy, or some people think you're good-looking, some people think you're ugly. I don't know how that fucking works. Everyone has different attractions. I've had some girls say, like, you're so fucking handsome. I've had other girls like, you dusty. I don't really like it. It's like, I don't really care about. Because now I'm at the point in my life where I care about what's inside of someone. Because I've had older women being pampered, stuff like that. I've had the long distance. I've had the in-person. I've done, like, all these different types of relationships. And, it really doesn't matter unless you can communicate. Like, it doesn't matter how different you two think you are. It doesn't really matter how much chemistry you two think that you have or do not have. If you have created this space where you can communicate, you can fix anything in a relationship. This is what happens. People so your goal is to have the big house. Your goal is to have all this money. Your goal is to have a life of comfort. Your goal is to have $1 million a year, all this stuff. You want all this type of shit, right? And it's like, for men, you have to achieve that. No one's going to hand it to you. Even it's like the really bullshit thing about being a man too is that even when a person can help you, they won't, because you're a man. They will halfway help you. It's like, well, I'll give you this if you do the other half. And it's like, nigga, just fucking do this shit. That's what you want from me, is like the fucking just do this shit like fucking Nike. You just do this shit. No, it doesn't work that way. But on the other side, they give away fucking anything to a fucking woman. Like, anything. And it's entitlement. It's not like you're doing this thing for them and they have the ability to appreciate it. They expect it to be done regardless of any level of appreciation that they have for it. The gratitude may come, but usually it's like you're just doing it because you're compelled to, because you have a penis. That's really just it. It doesn't work both ways. And I know you can bicker about it, you can argue about it, you can do a lot of things about it, but it's a basic principle that just stands in reality. It's just the way shit is, quite honestly. If you're a dude, you have to actually be good at something. You have to actually fix shit. You have to actually make a physical, real life change, With women, they expect you to do the physical, but they need like an emotional, honestly more of like, it's deeply psychological. It's like the term crazy goes around so much, but it goes around because there's not like a real notion of mental health. There's not a real notion of sanity versus insanity. It's like, it's just a go-to, but what you're really trying to say, and what you should say instead of calling her crazy, is that you need a psychological paradigm shift. The way that you're using your brain, the way that you're using your thoughts, the way that you're using your feelings is unproductive. And it's not to say that you can't have feelings. It's great that you feel. It's great that you feel deeply. It's great that you have this heightened level of emotionality that helps you deal with the world. It's great that you have this level of observation that borderlines fucking neuroticism or OCD for all this shit that I don't give a fuck about, because I don't give a fuck about it. Me not giving a fuck about it doesn't make it any less valuable. Me not giving a fuck about it doesn't mean that I don't like it or anything like that. It means that I'm never in my life going to spend any of the time that you expect me on anything that you find important, and vice versa. So how do you overcome that? You overcome that with communication. I love watch pro wrestling. She loves to go to sleep. So it's like sometimes I can watch it downstairs, sometimes I can watch it upstairs, like whatever. But it's like there's never gonna come a day. Well, there will. If I get like live tickets or something, she might watch the show live, you know? But it's like sometimes you're expecting someone to care so deeply about something that they simply don't have the capacity to give a fuck about. And they're never going to care. They're never going to see it the way that you see it. They're never going to want to see it the way that you see it. And you're not going to overcome those differences by moving to a different city, a different state, a different country. You have to learn to listen to people that disagree with you. You have to learn how to work with difficult people. You can't cut off everybody. And sadly, this isn't like what my generation is being taught. When you don't have to have marriage first, that means that you can build these very deep emotional bonds and emotional connections. You can have kids. You can have multiple fucking kids with somebody. But at the end of the day, you're using all that as this kind of loophole to get what you want. But the essential quality that would keep you there and ground off the playing field to force you to solve the problem, now it's like leaving is a constant option because you're not bounded. And I think that's the real idea. That's the real institution of this all. You have people going crazy, killing their girlfriend. It's like you're not in a real relationship, but once you start having sex, that is the marriage. And that's why you need the witnesses that you guys are all going to have sex. It's like we're having relationships and we're not even telling people that we're in relationships, so it makes the adultery so much easier, you know? It used to be that everyone in your village knew everybody. Everyone in your village knew what was going on. So it's like if you see two people that have this romance budding, you see these two people and it's like you're watching them go through it. You're watching them fall in love. You can see it. And it's like now everyone's a witness to your love. Everyone's a witness to tell you, no, you guys had these happy days. No, you guys had these great moments. No, you guys had these. So it's like, okay, you're going through a hard thing. But this current generation, you know, it's like you keep the relationship a secret for so long. Nobody knows anything about what the fuck's going on in your relationship. No one can give you advice because the only time you talk about your relationship, it's negative. They don't have any other perspective of your partner but you. And then when it breaks up, it's like it never happened at all. But it did. So all the emotional trauma, even the emotional benefit, not everything's traumatic. Sometimes the trauma comes because you had a really great situation and you lost it. Sometimes the trauma comes because you're a great person and you got thrown away like a fucking used tissue, you know? And now you're still a great person. You're still an amazing person. But the fact that that person that didn't want you, it fills you with so much like a sense of like no value, sense of loss of value. And it's like you don't lose the value simply because someone spent the $20, you know? There's no role models to really dictate how to have a healthy relationship because a lot of it is driven through fame. You know, a lot of the people on Instagram, social media, you don't know what their actual life is like. They're just doing it for money because they don't want to work a real job. That's why I became an author. I work very hard as an author. I work very hard editing books, but it's not a real job. It's not a real career. It's not. You know, it's never going to be one, and that's exactly what I wanted, and I didn't want it. I might have to work a job to continue being an author, you know, and that's well and good. That is what it is. But the expectation of being rich before you're happy, because you don't know how long it might take to become rich. It might take a year, it might take 10 years, it might take 20 years. and you're going to keep working regardless. But it's like doing that work when you're happy versus doing that work when you're miserable, doing that work when it's begrudging, doing that work and it's like you feel like you're alone in everything that you're doing, you feel like no one supports you. It creates a very toxic psychological environment, you know, versus, you know, we're not there yet. We're going to get there. Let's just brace ourselves until we get there. Let's just do everything right until we get there. It's like if you have the people that have the concept that marriage is a business, well, there's different types of businesses that run, you know. You have the businesses that only run properly when management is there. It only runs properly when the owners are there. It only runs properly when the health inspector comes. That's the only time the business runs properly, is when someone is watching, when someone is looking, when you're going out in public. That's the only time you want to do the right thing. That's hell on earth. So now you're going out in public, putting on a false persona, pretending like you're happy, pretending like if I'm going through some shit, I won't even go. If she's good and I'm not, I'm just gonna stay home because it's like I can't fake how I feel. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to look exactly how I feel. And I've done that before, and I didn't like the way it turned out. I didn't like the way it felt. If I feel something, you know, I'm going to take the mental health day. I'm going to stay the fuck home because my mental health is more important than social interaction. For other people, it's not really like that. Other people put on airs. They put on some fake shit. The other type of thing is like your communication has gotten so good. And it's like sometimes you don't even realize that you have good communication or that you two are listening to each other until years after the fact. And that's more reason why you really need to stick around. That's more reason why you really need to invest the time that it takes and make the commitment. Make a contract if you want. Do a civil union thing if you want. I wouldn't recommend just having a kid. But if that's your situation and you guys had a kid before you got, then like make that your bond. Make that your... But it's like... The communication is what's going to help you get the money. The communication is what's going to help you get the vacations. The trust, the bonding, the understanding. You can't just sit there. It's like what I'm going through. It's like you just lie to each other. It's like you lying about this person and you over-exaggerating their features and you over-exaggerating what you're going through. You're creating a system for failure. You're taking the time that is necessary to solve the problem to make the problem worse. It's like realizing that your house is on fire, seeing the fire extinguisher, and you still pour like 500 proof vodka on it because you're so stressed out. You can't take it anymore, and it's just so hard. So you make it worse? That doesn't make any fucking sense. If you're already going through a bad situation, this is where most women self-destruct and ruin their fucking life. Where most men they suffer and they fucking kill themselves. That's like really it. Women self-destruct, men self-delete. A woman will internally go fucking crazy just to have the ability to smile in front of people to say that everything is okay. A dude will off himself. That's the difference between men and women. That's the severity of how we kind of take this thing. And then you'll never realize either person is suffering until it's honestly too fucking late. You know? If you're already going through a hard situation, the only thing that you can honestly do is make it worse, like we already said, the aforementioned, you make it worse. The other side of that is that if you're incrementally doing things to make it better, so there's like you buy the steak, you know. Buying the steak means this is two different methods. You either buy the steak or you do things incrementally. When you buy the steak, you know, so Valentine's Day was like you take him out to a nice dinner, you buy a gift, you get him the diamond ring, and they're so happy for that one day. But then the next time you have an argument, the next time something goes awry, you're attempting to use something completely irrelevant. You know, the people that are very materialistic do this. Something completely irrelevant to the situation. Oh, well, I just bought you this and I just paid for that. So why are we arguing? Because you have terrible communication skills. You're arguing because you have horrible communication skills. You're arguing because you're wrong. You don't know how to accept that you're wrong. You don't have anything productive to offer the conversation. You can't handle anything the other person is saying because if you're not ready to take great advice sounds like an insult. The issue is entirely internal. But when you don't wait until you've built, see what happens when you're just having sex, you're not getting to know this person. You're not experiencing reality with this person. You're trying to justify giving away the most sacred, most important thing that humans do, which is sex. Sex is the primordial, most important thing that humans do. A man's sperm has I think she said it was 9 gigabytes of data or something like that, or terabytes of data. It has the ability. Babies come from men. Babies come from semen. It has the ability to create life. It's the most sacred, most primordial, most important thing that we do. And we have devalued it so much that everything else in society is devalued by proxy because everything a man does is for sex. And if a man doesn't have to do anything to get sex anymore, his motivation, it's almost self-destructive, It's almost self-destructive for that man because it's become far too, and it's some ways it could be a positive, because if you have a very overly competitive, very egotistical, very controlling man, making sex a little bit easier to obtain might be a little easier for you to manage, because if he has to work a lot harder to obtain sex, his expectations are going to go through the roof for what he wants. Versus meeting him in the middle where it's okay, I can excel in this field that I'm at within my corner office in my business or within I do. It's nowadays it's women seem to want someone who's happy. They want to seem to, because it's you've gotten to watch marriages that have lasted for 20 to 50 years where both people look miserable. Both people. This is another one of the excuses that we use. And this is the other method. So it's you get the fake it till you make it couple. Terrible communication every single day of their lives. And then when they go on in public, the smiles, taking pictures. It's they need so desperately to maintain those positive moments because there aren't enough positive moments to go around. And then you have the other couple, 20 to 50 years, and it's the woman might get bored, but it's that's really just, that's it. That's the issue. She's bored. Because once things have reached peace, once things have reached some level of equilibrium, there are no arguments. There are no fights. It's you don't, and in a way, if you don't appreciate that, honestly, it's basically what I'm trying to say is that a good thing is taken for granted. Peace gets taken for granted. A good day in a relationship gets taken for granted. Honestly, and I'm taking this from fucking personal experience, multiple different fucking relationships. Honestly, the aspects of a non-sexual relationship where you're simply not arguing, you're minding your own business, this person is minding their own business, you're completely invested in what you're working on, they're completely invested in what they're working on. Everyone is just at peace. Everyone is just doing their thing. It is so undervalued. It's you don't just have to be up underneath one each other. If a person wants to go out, they can go out. It's but it's the counter side to that is that it makes when you do have an argument seem so much more poignant and so much more catastrophic and so much more fucked up to you, because it's just trying to use the materialism. You have the materialistic person, you have the person who's overly sentimental. So the overly sentimental person is going to go, we had such a great day. We haven't argued in so long. And then she's like, yeah, it's been a while. It's like, yeah, I haven't been able to tell you what I feel. I haven't been able, it's like, sometimes it's like you're trying so hard to force utopia. You're trying so hard to force a perfect relationship inside your home, to maintain the peace, to do the right thing, is that you're not allowing for that necessary chaos that's going to set her on fire. You're not allowing for the necessary types of fucking, but when you don't have a marriage, when you don't have commitment, you don't have loyalty, you don't have trust, you don't have understanding, you don't have communication, there is not a lot stopping most men from just leave. Oh, you disrespected me? I'm out. I'm done. I'm gone. Most guys just, that's it. And it's like, no, she's not disrespecting you. It's like, sometimes the only way for someone to be honest with you is to hurt your feelings. And there's no other way for them to be. It's like the only way. It's like when you have to like give your kid a spanking, you got to smack their hand or something, or you got to yell at your kid. Sometimes the only way for someone to be honest with you is to hurt your feelings. It doesn't mean that they have to. It doesn't mean that they should. There's definitely better ways to communicate it and get it across. But what's gonna give your relationship decades versus days versus weeks versus a couple of years, and then you're patting yourself on the back because you made it for a year or two, what's gonna change that is when you can understand your self-awareness of, okay, what did I, and that's really all your relationship would have to be, is your self-awareness. That's it. Because it's like focusing, it's like you have zero control over this other person. You have zero control over how they're going to react. You have no control over how they're going to receive what you say. You have no control over their patience. You have no control over any aspect over this person. You don't need to control them. You should not desire to control them. You should not desire to be envious. You shouldn't desire to be jealous of them or anything that they're doing. They're doing their thing. You're doing their thing. And sometimes you decide to do things together. That's it. And it's like, it's not like that. It's like we have such this false connotation of it, so that when you have those traumatic moments, you have those very difficult moments, you know, some couples, it's like, oh, you guys went through that? I would have left him already. It's like, that's exactly it. You would have left. You don't have decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. You don't got 5 generations and everyone's married, 5 generations, and you know who everyone's father is, because you would have left. So you didn't have the internal mechanisms, you didn't have the people skills, you didn't have the communication skills, you didn't have the listening skills to hear something difficult about yourself and to change it and work on it. No, you got offended, you got hurt, and your hurt feelings were more important than your happiness. Your hurt feelings was more important than your joy, more important than your peace, more important than you being understood, and more important than you understanding someone that you really love and someone that you really care about. Some people have the worst relationships in the world because they're angry about something that they're never going to be able to get over until they're like actively working with this person to solve that problem. They're sitting there waiting for this person to solve this problem that they don't even know that you're angry about. They don't even know how you feel. They don't even know. It's like there's so many issues that you probably have right now that this other person that you're angry at, that you're bitter towards, that you're giving the cold shoulder, they're living their full fucking life and they have no idea how you feel. And you're getting angrier and angrier and madder because they're not responding, they're not talking to you, they're not trying to engage with you, they haven't apologized yet, and they don't even know there's a problem. And you're sitting there crazy as a fucking bedbug. Crazy, that's insanity. Because you don't have the people skills, you don't have the maturity to tell this person how you feel. But when someone does have the ability to be honest with you, to be straightforward and direct with you and tell you exactly how they feel, you're offended. So they can't avoid telling you the truth, you know? But you don't want to accept the truth. You don't want to accept reality because the honest truth is like, a a lot of you don't want to get married because for your marriage to work, because you've been having sex, because you will have to change so much about yourself to accommodate another person in your life, to accommodate children, especially multiple children. You got one kid, you fuck up the one kid, okay, you put one bad seed into society, you never have another kid again. You have 2 kids. There's people that got 10 kids. There's people, my neighbor has like 5 kids or something like that. Why? Because they've created a paradigm. They've created a blueprint. One generation created a blueprint of this is how you have a healthy relationship, or at least a functional relationship. You may not be, some parts are going to be better. It's like for better, for war, for richer, for poor. Sometimes it's going to be bad, sometimes it's going to be good, you know? But they've created a blueprint of how you do this, that all you got to do is follow the blueprint. A lot of us never got that blueprint. A lot of us never got taught how to have healthy relationships. We've never seen healthy relationships. We've never seen people make things work out. We've never seen people resolve a fight. We don't even know what resoluting an argument looks like. We don't even know what problem solving in a relationship looks like. We don't even know how to have constructive conversations to solve the problems, because that seems like a business term. And it's like, that's why people say a marriage is a business. It's not something to displace the severity. It's not something to displace the road. People love, when you start a business, you love what you do. You really shouldn't start a business that you're not passionate about to some degree. If you're making staplers and you're making fucking pine cone fucking bushels, hey, you're probably hiring people that hate their fucking job because you love money, you know? And pray to God that you pay those people good enough because they love money too. But when you're in a relationship, you got to have board meetings. You got to have board meetings. And the reason why most of those board meetings were filled with men is because you're going to have to say some things that aren't nice. You're going to have to say things in a way that are not nice. You're going to have to get points across that aren't pleasurable. And it's like the modern woman seems to desire. It's like you live in a world of chaos. You live in a world of hell. You live in a world of fire and brimstone. And if you're an American, you're living in the actual hell on earth. You're living in actual Babylon. And every single day, it's like you want to tell yourself, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then you want to find a man to tell you, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'll protect you. I'll shield you from the fire and brimstone. I'll protect you from this. He's going to die. He's going to get shot in the fucking head trying to fucking save you. No, learn some self-defense. Do some weightlifting. Learn how to defend yourself. Learn how to manage your own checkbook so that you can protect it and he can go above and beyond what the fuck you're thinking. You're not going to survive. It's like what's coming right now. It's so beyond, I need 100,000. You need someone that knows how to farm. You need someone that knows how to treat animals. You need someone that knows how to rear children. You need someone that knows how to temper their anger. They want to throw a fucking piano through the wall right now, but instead, they're trying to have a conversation with you. You need someone who's capable of the great violence. I know this is kind of a cliche act, but they've learned how not to commit violence. That's why a lot of soldiers go to war and they come back PTSD, but they never want to fight again. They come back pacifist. That's why a lot of you go through these traumatic relationships and you never want to date again. You don't believe in love anymore. You don't believe in relationships anymore. You don't think you're ever going to get married. So you stop trying. And then it's like you never want to do the real thing again. You never want to get remarried again. You never want to have a real relationship again because it's like you're so exhausted. But it's like, have you ever considered maybe you're so exhausted, maybe you're so tired, maybe your relationship is so fucked up because you're not doing the right thing? Because I don't think most people realize how personalized your perspective of the world is. Even the perspective and notion that you have a bad relationship is an entirely individualistic process. And the fatalism of it all is that, okay, if you do, can you honestly not do anything to make it better, but cry, but complain, but to have hardship, but to shut down, but to go silent, to go resort to drug usage and locking yourself away inside of your man cave because you don't want to deal with people because you're afraid of what you're gonna do. Be afraid of what you might do. That's a very powerful emotion. I had to tell my son that this morning. My son goes to school now. He's a stay-at-home kid for a while. Now he's going to school, and he's like, I'm scared. I'm shy. I'm scared. I'm shy. You can't be brave unless you're afraid. It's not courage if you're not scared. It's not courage if other people aren't scared to do it. It's not impressive. It's easy. It's impressive when it's hard. It's impressive when it's scary. It's impressive when no one helped you. It's impressive when you figured it out on your own. It's impressive when it's something no one else could have done. So it's like you're expecting to be appreciated, you're expecting to be rewarded, and you didn't do anything. You did what you were supposed to do and nothing more, nothing less, and now you want to get patted on the ass for it because that's what you're used to, that's what you're entitled to. That's not love. That's adoration. That's worship. That's not realistic in reality when the other person also has emotions, the other person also has feelings, the other person also needs help, the other person also needs to be understood. So if that's how you want to be loved, that's how you have to love in return, and that creates for a very toxic environment. If he can't tell you anything wrong, you can't tell him anything wrong, what are you going to do? No, you have to both be able to tell each other the difficult things. You have to both be able to hear the things that this person that you love more than anything there's parts about you that they fucking hate. There's aspects about your relationship that they can't fucking stand, that they hate more than anything, and if they could change it, they would. And the reality is that forcing someone to suffer through that's not love. It's not love. If you owe somebody money, pay them back the money. You don't have to, and it's like if you can't pay back the money, humble yourself. Humble yourself. Because it doesn't make sense if this person lent you $100, $1,000, they lent you $10,000. If they lent you the money, how do they suddenly become this bad person? After helping your ass, they just fucking helped you. How do they become this terrible, evil, bad person after helping you? It's like some people, and it's like when you're not married, it's so easy to just go for the jugular, to just go for the spine, to just go for the kill shot. It's so easy. I had to learn so hard. I'm trying to move the mic away because I'm screaming sometimes. But I had to learn the hard, painful, long-suffering way. It wasn't just enough to watch my parents go through it. I had to go through it too. And I went through it worse because my parents were married for 20 years. They tried. They didn't fucking do it right, but they tried. And it's like you go through this shit unmarried. And it's like you're not learning anything positive. You're not learning how to have a real relationship. You're not learning how to resolve conflict. You're not learning how to properly you're not learning how to basically, let me not like just fucking like go on and on and on and on and on and on. My essential quality that I want to get across to you is that when you don't have commitment, that's number one. You don't have trust. You don't have understanding. You don't have communication. And I don't remember. I think there was a fifth thing, but I really don't fucking remember it. But I was going to say, if you don't have clear, and it's like the real thing is like reasonable expectations. If you don't have clear means that you have gotten this across to this person. You were direct with this person. You told them exactly what you wanted and what you needed done. Reasonable means, I painted, my aunt asked me to paint like some trim in her house in her shed recently. Reasonable means I told her I'm not a painter. I do landscaping. I don't even call it I call it lawn care. I mow grass. I blow leaves. I trim hedges. I trim fucking weed wax and shit like that. That's my area of expertise. People start talking about, can you do my deck? Can you do, because that lust for money, that lust and that allure for money will have you doing things that you're terrible at, that give you anxiety, that put you in such a terrible fucking situation because you're not waiting for it to just stay in your field and do what works. Love is like that. Relationship is like that. But honestly, the real love isn't like that, because real love is understanding. It is all those positive things that I just mentioned. Real love is going to endure because real love accounts for the bad more than the good. Fake love, and this is where a lot of you are in. This is why a lot of you only want sex. Because fake love is addictive. It's like cocaine versus crack. I will not tell you, love is a drug. Love releases chemicals in your body, oxytocin, cortisol, adrenaline. It's like love releases a lot of chemicals, a lot of hormones in your body. Some people enjoy arguing because they love that chemical rush. They love that chemical feeling. They love the serotonin rush when it's resolved. They love the endorphins that flare up when they're having the makeup sex afterwards. Some people really intrinsically get off on that type of shit, and there's nothing fucking wrong with them. They need to have that roller coaster of emotions to feel stimulated. It's not healthy. Get the fuck away from those people. It's not healthy. It's not. But it's like the other side of that is that some people may not be able to do shit for you. Some people may not be able to pay you back. Some people, it's like they might one day hit the fucking lottery, get the fucking great job. They might one day fix everything in their life. And it's why it's so personalized, and why I feel like modern relationships are really so fucked up is because the entire relationship should just be 100% self-accountability, meaning 100% self-accountability. Not, it's your fault, it's my fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. It's like, no, that's it. What can you individually do better should be the only thing that you're focused on in your relationship, because the only thing that you have any control over. It really is. It's the only thing you have any fucking form of control over. You spending your entire day, and I think if someone's done something to you, then you should full-heartedly hold them accountable for what they have done, because then you are reinforcing their 100% accountability. People want to do 50-50. You can't do 50-50. You can't half-ass your life. You can't half-ass your emotionality. You can't half-ass your well-being. And a lot of people are expecting to stay in very abusive, very unhealthy relationships because they don't want to go through the process of looking again. But it's I don't even think it's the process of going out and looking again for most people. I think it's what I said a moment ago, is that a lot of people, they rely on people to be the exact same as they were forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. They rely upon, one day mom's like, I'm going to Belize. Oh, you're going to take a vacation? No, I'm going to Belize for a year. You're on your own. And then it's like, one person's going to be like, oh, I'm really happy you're living your life. This person's like, oh, it's like, be happy for this person if this is the person that you chose. Listen to this person if this is the person that you chose. There's a lot of people that you probably love that you didn't get to choose. There's probably a lot of family members that you've known for decades or your entire life that you didn't get to choose. So what I'm telling you is that if you chose this person, why not work things out? Why not be committed? The fifth thing was commitment. So trust, understanding, communication. Fuck, I just every fucking time, man. If you do them out of order. When you remember things in an order, it's like you're trying to remember the order of things. Oh, this is a really good fucking analogy for this too, and then I'm done. It's like you try to remember the order for things that you're not necessarily realizing that not Things aren't cyclical, and things don't have to be cyclical. Things don't have to be patterned. Arguing every week doesn't have to be a pattern. Arguing, period, doesn't have to be a pattern. Healthy communication can be a pattern, and then sometimes you have an anomaly. Sometimes you have a phenomena. And it's like, I would honestly implore you, even if you are having a lot of arguments, try to take that perspective, because then you can realize, so it's impossible for us to be arguing all day. It's impossible. So in a time period in which we are not arguing, what are we discussing? What are we talking about? What are the subjects that we can, and that's the type of things that you need to work out. And it's like, I know people don't want to think that that's necessary. They don't want to think that that's like, but no, it actually is 1000% fucking necessary. If that's something that you would do with a stranger in the bus stop, you'll kind of like feel the waters and feel this. And it's like, at the end of the day, this person really is just a stranger to you. Even your own parents are a stranger to you. You don't own the identity of your parents. Your parents don't own your fucking identity. Your parents have a whole life outside of you. You have a whole life outside of them. Nobody owns anyone's identity. Everyone is literally just what you show them. And whatever you choose to show this person, whatever you choose to behave like, how you choose to speak, how you choose to behave yourself, you're leaving a legacy. You're leaving a lasting impact. And that person isn't going to forget how you made them feel. That person is not going to forget how you treated them. So if someone was nice to you and now they don't want to be around you, you did something. Vice versa. If someone used to be really cold towards you, used to be really mean towards you, and now they're starting to warm up to you, now they're trying to be nicer to you, now they're trying to work on the relationship, some people are like, oh no, don't try to do that now. No, keep that same energy. Keep that, like a fucking idiot, like a dysfunctional fucking asshole. No, welcome that person. Well, if someone's trying, how many people don't give a fuck about you? Do you know how many people, if you died tomorrow, they wouldn't bat an eyelash? You better pray to God you got people in your life that might argue with you but love you. They might fucking have, things about you that disappoint you, you've done things that disappoint them. But God, they still love you. They still care about you. And it's like, a lot of you don't value that. A lot of you think love is the positive moments. You think love is the pleasure. You think love is the hedonism. You think love is the sex. You think love is the intimacy. You think love is the connection. Love is not chemistry. The chemistry is a byproduct. The ability to endure. We look at this from really where it comes from a village standpoint. My willingness to get bit by a tiger for you, my willingness to get stabbed in the stomach by a boar, to hold it down by its neck so the rest of the men can come kill it, so the village can eat, that is love. It's not, you look great today, dear. No, that shit. Me willing to go through this torment of trying to be a famous author when people are looking at me every single type of fucking way. They want me to make a few $1,000s. I'm trying to make millions. I'm trying to make billions. And they're trying to teach me the pathway to a few $1,000s. Like, I'm the fucking idiot. You have to find someone willing to take their sacrifices for you so you can have this something greater. But a lot of you aren't willing to sacrifice for something greater. You're willing to be slightly inconvenienced. You're willing to negotiate and compromise. You're not willing to. I spent 2 years of my life, before my partner lived with me, I was just on my own. And I had like a year to myself, and in that year to myself, I built my business. I got so much fucking shit done. That when the kid came, we weren't married. We're still not married. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, and it should have really been a no-brainer in retrospect. It really shouldn't have been the emotionally traumatic. It was a very emotionally traumatic experience for me. Because I didn't know what was going on. But in retrospect, it really shouldn't have been, because we probably should have been married. We probably should have gone to couples counseling. We probably should have worked towards having a healthier relationship. But when you think you can just leave, you think you can just break up, And it takes a kid nowadays for most of us. It takes a kid for us to get serious. It takes us not wanting to fuck up another human life that we've forcibly brought into this world through our lust and through our selfishness and through our instant gratification. And it takes a kid now for most of us to settle down and be commitment and try to work things out. But if it wasn't for the kid, you probably wouldn't. That's a really fucked up thing, because it really just kind of speaks to the mentality of the people that you're dealing with. My last thing is bringing up once more, and you have that long-term woman. There's a willingness to work through fucking anything. When you're used to dealing with short-term women, you're waiting for, and this is like really I'm understanding it now. This is really my biggest issue in my relationship, is that I'm used to dealing with short-term and mid-term women. I'm used to dealing with women who's like, okay, for this semester, for this year, for college, for whatever, and it's like they have a whole fucking game plan outside of me, you know. I once dated a veterinarian, and it's like she had a boyfriend when we met. She didn't have a boyfriend for 1 year, but she was going to veterinary school. So this is like, I'm invested in this. Like, we're gonna make this. No, man, you are fun for the ride. You are an experience. She got a whole fucking life planned out without you. A short-term, mid-term girl. When you're in those type of situations, even when you're with a mid-term girl, but when you're with a short-term girl, any issue, any problem, any error, anything she can find, any little snippet, or vice versa with you, anything can destroy it. Anything, and you're never speaking to this person as long as you live, and you probably wouldn't care anyway because you did not know them. When you have the midterm girl, the midterm guy, you know, you probably work through more stuff because you're building up the positive experience for a different relationship, quite honestly. And it's like, when you've been through those types of experiences, when you're with someone that wants to be with you for the rest of their life, and they love you, and they really care about you, and they really love you and care about you, it's like they're willing to work through anything with you. And you're sitting here with this experience of, oh, well, first chance they get, I'm going to leave. Well, the first thing that goes wrong, I'm done. If he does this, he doesn't do this for me. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do this, blah, 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 blah. Then I'm going, it's over, and then blah, blah, blah. You're a dysfunctional person. Because ultimately, what that marriage really is a testament to, it's not a testament to we've been happy every single day of our lives and nothing has ever gone wrong. What the marriage is actually a testament to is we have gone through some of the most fucked up things that two people could put each other through, and we said sorry. And when sorry wasn't enough, we did the things necessary for that person to truly understand, I didn't mean to do that to you. Because we're emotional, we make mistakes, we fuck up, we say things we don't mean, we're tempted, we do things that we didn't mean to fucking do. And it's so easy to just finger point. It's so easy to just leave. It's so easy to just be dysfunctional, that I feel like that's primarily what you see, is because it's easier to just be a toxic, dysfunctional person, to just go around having sex with this person, fix nothing about yourself, do no sort of reflection. Today I cut out every single woman that I followed on Instagram. My Instagram has been like all half naked chicks, and it's not like I'm active. It's like I don't use the app that much, and I'm not really growing on the app because that's all I really see on the app. I unfollowed every single woman on the app that I don't know personally. And if I know you personally, you're more than likely just family or a friend of, my partner. You're not willing to do that. It's like most people really aren't willing to do the things necessary to have the relationship that they want. So it's like you're forced to try to do the things necessary to have a relationship that you don't want. And the paradox, this is the whole full cyclical thing. The paradox of this is that You're working so hard to have and it's not like you don't want that person. It's that you're working so hard to prevent yourself from doing the hard work necessary to have what you actually desire. And it doesn't make any sense. You're keeping yourself inside of this prison, and the prison isn't your partner. The prison isn't your city. The prison isn't modern relationships. The prison is literally just your paradigm, your schema, your perspective of things, simply being able to go, if I want the relationship of my dreams, I have to do the work necessary to get that relationship. And that work might be being a better father. That work might be being a better mother. That work might be actually listening to your fucking partner, you know? And like, when I say listen, I don't mean hear them out. I don't mean give them I mean, like, you listen, you shema, you listen and you obey. They say something to you and you listen and you fix it. Now it's like we feel like we can argue our ways out of self-development. We can argue our way out of someone not liking us. We can explain ourselves out of our sin, and you can't. You can't. If someone doesn't like something about you, nothing that you can do is going to stop them from not liking you. You can have a great relationship outside of that aspect, but nothing you can do is going to move your relationship forward until you fix that thing. And that's it. And we're spending so much time trying to avoid fixing these aspects about us that need so much work, that we all become apathetic. We all become lethargic. We all become dysfunctional. Because to maintain most of these relationships, you're going to have to forgive. And forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. But if you don't view forgiveness as a gift that you give yourself, you're going to hold on to this unforgiveness and this hatred and this resentment. And once again, the other person doesn't even know that you're going through it. The other person doesn't even know how you feel. The other person doesn't even know what you're experiencing. They're just stuck, you know? They're just stuck. And there's no, you're not going to move. It's like a video game. It's like a fucking video game. And it's like you're not going to move forward inside this quest line. You're not going to move forward in this game until you do the quest. And it doesn't matter how much time you spend grinding in the wilderness. It wasn't the quest. It doesn't matter how much money that you got. It wasn't the quest. It doesn't matter how big your party size is or how big your friend list is. It wasn't the quest, and you're not going to progress until you get that quest. A lot of us men are in this. It's not a paradox. It's hypocrisy. Of we don't want to marry her until she does this and she does it. And it's like, but she's not going to do most of those things for you until you marry her. You get it? And you're terrified of divorce. You're terrified of all these other type of things, but you're terrified of things that would only really happen if you lacked any form of self-awareness. You lacked any form of discipline. You lacked any form of communication. And you really just let the whole relationship go to shit. Some of us we're so like intrinsic in this idea that these people in our life are never going to go anywhere, and they're never going to get so angry at us that we never see them again. We're never going to say angry at us that we harm them or something like that. And it's really an entitled way of going through life. You're going to have to change. You're going to have to develop. You're going to have to change your perspectives. You're going to have to change your mindset. You're going to have to change your habits. You're going to have to work jobs that you don't want to work. You're going to have to work hours that you don't want to work. Especially, and it's more of a sense of a dedication to yourself as well as everything else. Is because if you really truly want to live this dream that you have for yourself, you have to be willing to do everything necessary to get there. And not like the creepy, unnecessary things that are necessary, but the actual things necessary. You should be willing to do that. You should be willing to go through that. You should be willing to experience that. And most of us aren't. Most of us don't want to deal with the hardships of a relationship. Most of us don't want to argue. We don't want to deal with confrontation. We don't want to deal with conflict. We don't want to change. We had some random guy 1 year tell us, don't ever change. Just be the inner child forever. And maybe fuck that advice, you know? There's going to be, you don't have to change everything about yourself. There's aspects about you that are amazing, that are great. But again, without self-awareness, you're not going to be able to really toe that line between the aspects of yourself that are positive, great things that people can benefit from versus the things that make you a shitty, terrible human being that people don't want to be around. And you're going to conflate the two, and you're going to be like, well, people don't like anything about... People love certain aspects about you. People detest other aspects of you. You know? Maybe someone wants to be around you once a month. Maybe it's someone that wants to be around you every single day. Someone that if you had to take a shit and they had to brush their teeth, they're not going to shun you and shame you and make you feel bad for you taking a shit, male or female. There's some girls that don't fart in front of men because they're afraid of what he might think. You don't need to be there. If you feel that self-conscious, if you feel like you can't be yourself, and it's like if you're really trying to maintain this sexual relationship by stuffing who you are inside of a closet, by not being who you are, not expressing your truest self, one, you're never going to learn the things about yourself that desperately need to change. That's for one, you know. So it might be people pleasing, it might be enabling, it might be an abusive addiction to drugs, you know. It might be something that desperate, but if you don't leave that room for honesty, if you don't leave that room that, you know, right now it's not working, but if we figure out what is happening and we focus on the problem and we research the problem without bringing up the past, without bringing up random shit that doesn't matter, without talking about our feelings and our little feelies, we can talk about how we feel about it after we fucking solve the shit, can't we? And then we can have a great laugh. It does not make sense to talk about your feelings in the middle of an argument. It makes sense to solve the shit that you're arguing about and then talk about your feelings. There's a place for it. But when you're dealing with a short-term relationship, you don't need to talk about your aspects. You don't need to talk about... And by the time you do, the only time... This is really telling of humanity and where we are right now, is that for most people, they feel like when they tell you the truth, this is how bad it is, that's the end of the relationship. So when they come to you to tell you the truth, they don't come to you to tell you the truth expecting this to go on years and years and decades. And they expect when they tell you the truth, the shit is done. That's not a real relationship. That's not real love. That's not. And that's what most people are used to. That's what most people are condemned to. That's what most people are trapped in. Because they have never in their lifetime experienced an environment where they can be honest. They've never experienced an environment where they feel safe speaking their mind. They feel safe expressing themselves. They feel safe being who they are and saying exactly how they feel. I watch other people live life who aren't 270 pounds that know how to break people's necks and kill them where they stand. And they're so fragile. They're afraid of upsetting people. They're afraid of getting into fights. They're afraid of conflict. They're afraid of argument. I don't like to argue. I don't mind defending myself. I don't like to fight. I do not mind defending myself. Because one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to lose a fight. I will not start a fight with you. I'm not going to instigate a fight with you. I'm not going to incite a fight with you. But if a fight is brought to me, I'm not losing it. Terrible personality trait. Helps in certain aspects of life. Terrible personality trait for a relationship. So when it comes to an argument, there is no winner. When it comes to the issues that you need to fix in a relationship, or it comes to things that this other person doesn't like about you, it doesn't matter how many things that you tell that person that you don't like about them either. That's not going to fix a single fucking thing that they don't like about you. And if the relationship is important to you, You are going to have to change those things about you that people don't like. If the relationship isn't important to you, it's a short-term relationship. It's a mid-term relationship. So you should probably stop fucking talking about it. You should probably fucking get over it. You should probably shut the fuck up about it. You should probably stop talking about all men. You should probably stop talking about all women. You should probably stop talking about what all women deserve. Stop talking about all men deserve or all non-binary people deserve. Talk about you individualistically in the fucked up situation that you individually put your goddamn self in. Do that. Your relationships will go so much further if you let people be people. Stop trying to control this person. It doesn't matter if you don't like him. It doesn't matter if you don't like that. Stop trying to control, because if you kind of control it, they're not going to find a real solution. They're only going to find a solution that suits you. And you don't matter in their life, ultimately. People cut off their mothers, people cut off their fathers, people cut off brothers and sisters and bears, oh my. Some people have creepy-ass uncles that they don't talk to. Nothing is permanent unless you make it so. Nothing is permanent unless you take care of it. You need to wait. Because it's like you're putting the most important thing before everything that's going to help you enjoy it. When you're so focused on having sex out of wedlock, having sex before marriage, having sex as the most important thing in your relationship, even as a man, it's like it takes a while for you to understand as a man, sex isn't the most important thing to you. What you desire, like when you say that you desire sex, what you're actually meaning is that you want intimacy. You want connection. When you're saying you want to have sex, it's like you want to feel loved. You want to release what's inside of you, yes, but it's not just semen. It's like I'm pretty sure every time you don't want to have fucking kids every time you want to bust a fucking nut. So no, it's not sex that you desire as a man, but as a man, sex is usually the only thing that you are offered. And you don't think to consider understanding. You don't think to consider having someone reinforce their loyalty or reinforcing their connection with you. You don't consider faith and trust to be like a long-standing thing in a relationship. And more than anything, you don't view this as, well, I do, but most people don't view the relationship as, it's not a matter of what this person deserves. What does my partner deserve? It's not a matter of what you think you personally deserve. What does a human being reasonably deserve? What can a person reasonably fucking achieve and do? If you didn't have so many unreasonable expectations, you would be a happier person. My dad told me the best expectations are no expectations. With no expectations, you are always impressed. That's what I'm like. I'm always impressed. Nothing really surprises me either, but I'm always impressed. I let people live their fucking life. I stay the fuck out of other people's business. Unless it concerns me, unless it involves me, unless they fucking directly talk to me about the shit, I'm gonna mind my fucking business. I get how hard it is now. Like, all I want to do is fucking be by myself and work on my books, sell my books, play fucking video games. I wasn't expecting to be a father by 30. I love it, though. I wasn't expecting to be in this monogamous relationship, but I am, and ultimately I love it. But the things that I don't love about it are the things that I did not work on. The things that I don't love about it are things that I did not fix years ago. The things that I don't like about it are things that I have complete control over. Or at least if we work together, there's complete control over fixing it. But when you don't view it that way, when you don't have the experience of being with people that you probably wanted to have spent more time with than you did, but petty issues got in the way, how you express yourself got in the way, like genuine issues that that you've done have gotten in the way. I think a lot of people search for relationships where that if they ended, they can blame the other person, and you don't learn anything blaming the other person, and that's why most of your relationships are failing. That's why most people are getting divorced, because so much is spent on, you did this to me and you said this to me, and nothing is geared towards, well, why did you do that? Why did you feel that way? Why was that something that you needed to tell me? We're so caught up in us, how we feel. There is zero credence given to what actually works. Not what do you desire, not what do you can't build a relationship off of wants. Not a real one. I want to see more people get married. I want to see myself get married. I want to see my kid grow up and have married parents, not just two parents, but married parents. We need to stop the short-term, mid-term mindset. And we need to focus on long-term relationships. That's it. Because it's just two completely different fucking skill sets, bro. That's it. If you go into the relationship and marriage is your top priority, and it's like beyond just the idea of having the wedding, having a long-term relationship, having the long-term gratification, having the mindset of long-suffering, having the idea that you both are going to have to sacrifice, you both have to give 100, you both need self-accountability, you both need to be doing your best, and you both need to be working towards becoming the best person you can possibly be for this shit to work. When you don't focus on marriage, none of that is on the table. None of that is necessary. None of that is of an interest. You can just have fun, and then you can just leave when the fun is done. You can just leave when you're no longer enjoying yourself. The very moment, the very second that you're displeased, the very second that you're upset, the very second that you're offended, you can just walk away. There's things that I've been offended by that I really had, like in retrospect, no business to be offended by. That if I had just cut the person off, I would have never had needed to admit to, I would have never needed to own up to, I would have never needed to apologize for, and romantically or non-romantically. If I had never seen the person again, I could probably just bury it up, tell me. But it's something different. I know I said this, but this is actually my last thought. I had like a girl I used to mess with. We both moved on. I got a kid now. We both moved on. I'm not looking for another chick. I'm not looking for any other fucking relationship. I'm good. But I never apologized to her, A relationship was so long ago, both moved on, both did our thing. We had seen each other again since then, but I never apologized to her. And the other week I apologized to her. She didn't even fucking remember me. But there's just something, if forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself, apologies are the exact same thing. Apologies are also gifts that you give yourself as well. Because once you apologize, you start the process of changing. You start the process of fixing things. You start the process of really moving forward in the process of everything that you want and everything that you enjoy. All right, I'm done. I'm yawning now. It's too much. All right. So, peace, family. Did I finish that idea? Did I finish that thought? Yeah, but I apologized, and I felt a lot better after I apologized. Long-term relationships, if you apologize, you have forgiveness, that's really it. But there's more to an apology than the words. There's more than a forgiveness than the words. You have to change your behavior. You have to change your behavior. Okay, this is the key. And then I'm done. This is the exact same thought, so bear with me. You want to change your life. You need to change your behavior. So that's changing your habits. But to change your behavior and to change your habits, you need to change your mindset. You need to change your thought process. And to honestly and earnestly, you only really think about the things that you feel. So to change your thought process and to change your mindset, you have to change your feelings. And most times, to change your feelings, you have to change your health. You need to change your wellness. These are all things that only you can do for yourself. This is why a lot of the women that you do desire to be with, or you would marry instantaneously, are so out of your reach, because it takes a lot of work to do that. It takes a lot of work to reach that level, and that's why you have all these women that are easy to have sex with. You could pay them money. You could just have a lot of money and give them the expectation that they could even have a little bit of your resources and they'll have sex with you. And it doesn't even have to be money. It could be drugs. It could be anything. You can find a way to have sex. So it's like, I know that gives you off the sense that sex isn't that important or sex is easy to come by. But so are babies then. So are all these other things. So it's a huge fucking thing. And if that is the mindset with you and you don't find sex that valuable, then okay, don't conflate the value of sex with the value of love. Conflate the value of the relationship with the value of love. Hi. When you get a chance, I need help. Conflate the value of relationship with the value of love. It's not always going to be sex. It's not always going to be pleasurable. It's not always going to be things that you want to do. Sometimes it's going to be a pain in the fucking ass. Sometimes it's going to be annoying. Sometimes it's going to be frustrating. Sometimes it's going to drive you crazy out your socks. But, one thing I could tell you, especially for men that are watching, if you didn't watch this long, every single time I apologize first, her apology was much deeper, much more poignant. And it's as if women are waiting for you to do the right thing for them to do the right thing. And that's really just it. You gotta lead your relationship.